Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Black Ops 2 Character Analysis. It's been a few weeks since I did the last one. I apologize for really not being consistent with it over the last few weeks, I should say. There's just a lot of different stuff going on the channel. I started the new Let's Play series and a few different things, so I figured it's kind of took a little bit of a break from character analysis. But yeah, we're back here. So today we're going to be doing Raul Menendez. He's pretty much the main antagonist or the main villain of the Black Ops 2 campaign storyline, and of course he's in a few other games like Call of Duty Strike Team, and I think it was like one other one. I don't know. We're really not going to be talking like that or about that like always. I'm really just sticking to the main Black Ops 2 storyline. So we're going to get right into it here, getting it from the COD Wiki, as always. Great site. Gotta love it. So Raul Menendez is a character introduced in the Call of Duty Black Ops 2 storyline, serving as the main antagonist for both Black Ops 2 and Call of Duty Strike Team, which we're not going to be talking about that. Menendez is a Nicaraguan drug lord and the leader of the terrorist organization Cortes Dia, who launched an attack of an unprecedented scale against the United States of America in retaliation for the CIA's actions against his family in the decades before. Raul Menendez was born in Nicaragua on September 5, 1963. According to JSOC operative Salazar, Menendez spent the first part of his childhood during his country's I'm sorry, I do not know how to pronounce that. Tumultuous years, that's just what I'm going to go with, in the Nicaraguan Revolution, seeing firsthand the horrors of American-backed contrast, conducted on his fellow countrymen would sow the seeds for his hatred of the West. After the colossal 1972 earthquake of Nicaragua, Raul's family lost most of what they had, including their home. A year after the quake, his only sister Josefina was horribly disfigured and crippled from a fire in a warehouse the two were seeking shelter in. Raul first believed that Josefina was dead and tried to kill himself by slitting her throat with her pennant until she woke and begged him not to. The warehouse was burned down by its American owner in order to collect $11,000 through insurance fraud. The tragedy would further embitter Raul Menendez towards the United States. And now we're going to talk about his cartel, the Menendez cartel. When Menendez entered into his teenage years, both he and his father, Jose Luis Menendez, started over by selling drugs for easy money. As time passed, they became rich and powerful legends of Managua. Their height of power was so great that Menendez cartel was extremely reputable with the criminal underworld. He was also trained by his father to become a professional escape artist. This was of great concern to the United States to the extent that the CIA was sent in to eliminate Raul's father in a U.S.-sanctioned assassination. An assassination that young Raul observed and escaped in a pickup truck in the events of Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified, which, I mean, it's worth mentioning that, but like I said, we're not really getting into that part. And then now we're going to talk about like more of the based campaign, like what you'll see in the Black Ops 2 campaign. So the Angola and encounter with Alex Mason. Fueled by his anger for the U.S. in 1986, Menendez began to run his guns into Afghanistan for his own private army. On July 2nd, 1986, Menendez was in Angola supplying the Soviet-backed communist government, the MPLA, with arms. It was also the same time in which Alex Mason and Jason Hudson were in Angola to rescue one of Menendez's victims, the recently captured Frank Woods. Alex Mason ran into Menendez after breaking into his hut. When the gunrunner was talking on his radio, as the men entered the hut, Menendez wrestled with Mason after pulling a grenade. Mason overpowered Menendez and shot him right in the right side of his face, destroying his eye and leaving him permanently disfigured. Mason then escaped the hut as the grenade exploded. And that's pretty much how Menendez has one eye. You'll see later in the Black Ops 2 campaign. This drew in the attention of the CIA. Later in the year, the CIA authorizes a strike against Menendez, now making a healthy profit running arms across Soviet-occupied Afghanistan, sending in Alex Mason, Frank Woods, and Jason Hudson to investigate. Unbeknownst to the trio, the leader of the Mujahideen, whom they considered their ally, Mullah Rahman, I hope I said that name right, was in one of the many which secretly worked for Menendez. It was at the same time in which Menendez also dealt with Lev Kravchenko, who also sold the arms deal of Soviet weapons. Sending the arms into the third world countries such as Cuba and Angola, Menendez began to fund and arm many anti-Western rebellions and revolutions in hope to bring down the capitalist nation. The CIA, in conjunction with the Panamanian Defense Forces, conducted a raid on Menendez's compound in Nicaragua. Menendez was ambushed in his room but broke free once he saw a guard hurting his sister. However, he was sedated and awoke outside the compound when Manuel Noriega freed him. Menendez attacked him and ran through the compound to find Josefina, his sister. When Raul reached his sister's room, Frank throws a hand grenade into Menendez's sister's room, killing her and seemingly Menendez himself. And this is the revenge of the death of Hudson, which we already talked about in Hudson's character analysis. So, however, unknown to the U.S. or the CIA, the corrupt Noriega made a deal with Menendez, offering him sanctuary in Panama. Before the U.S. invasion of Panama in 1989, Menendez, with the help of his moles in the CIA, kidnapped the young David Mason and brought him to Panama. Just ahead to the elder Mason's mission to capture Noriega, Menendez's men also kidnapped Jason Hudson and forced him to relay false information to Frank Woods, which includes an order to kill what was believed to be Menendez. After taking the shot, the man shot was not Menendez but instead Alex Mason. To further punish the now grief-stricken Woods, Menendez kills Hudson, still not content with his revenge. Menendez also allows Woods and the young David to live and vows that in due time he will return to finalize his revenge. However, if the player chooses to shoot Mason in anywhere but the head, he will turn up alive years later after Menendez's execution or capture, player determined, which, pretty much the player choices. During the course of the next 30 years, Menendez hides in the shadows, working to gather the men and resources needed to begin his world revolution. To generate funds for his private army, Menendez used the wealth he made drug trafficking and weapons smuggling, and invested heavily in various weapons technology, including Tacitus Corporation. On June 22, 2014, Menendez began his campaign by creating Cordestia, a social networking group drawing in billions of followers to his cause, ending the corrupt capitalist 1% nations, using the alias Odysseus. With the followers unaware that their leader was an armed smuggler and narco-terrorist, Menendez recruits armed insurgent groups such as the Mercs and the Yemeni militia. He also built several secret military facilities all around the world, such as in Myanmar and Haiti. By 2025, Cordestia has just over 2 billion followers to see as Menendez as their savior and idol, nicknaming him the Messiah of 99%. YouTube, Twitter, and various other sites have very large subscriber counts. Despite the large support, Menendez is seen as a threat to the U.S. government, who brand him the most dangerous terrorist since Osama bin Laden and have him under constant surveillance. So I just thought it's funny it has Twitter and YouTube in there. I guess I didn't realize. As part of Menendez's plan, he hires Chloe Lynch to develop a new rare earth element called Celerium, which he has more processing power than the entire U.S. military infrastructure. The plan is to use it to hack against the drones controlled by the U.S. and China to turn them against their respective cities. To process into a smaller form, Menendez hires Eric Briner. Once developed, Menendez stores the chip in a fake eyeball where his right eye used to be, and the cyber attack on the Chinese stock market. As part of Menendez's plan to wipe out both America and China, he used the Celerium worm to hack the Chinese stock market and send it into depression. The blame, however, is pinned on the United States government through some people like Woods knew better than to believe this. After this, Menendez's page is shut down by the FBI. 2 days later, the director of the FBI is found dead. The cause of death is being burned alive, which is probably a pretty scary mystery there. I kind of thought that was, in a weird way, kind of scary when that showed up in the game. So Menendez and the second-in-command DeFalco visit Pakistan to meet up with Tanzal and the ISI leader to gain support of the SDC and rogue elements with ISI. David Section Mason, Mike Harper, Javier Salazar, and Crosby are sent in to spy on him. However, this is also part of Menendez's plan, who claims to have engineered the infiltration. Menendez meets with DeFalco about Chloe and assigns DeFalco to find and capture her. After doing so, Menendez blows the Americans' cover, but they are not able to escape. In Yemen, Menendez holds a meeting with his followers with Farid at his side. Farid, unknown to Menendez at this point, is a spy for the CIA, though Menendez is suspicious of him. Menendez, Farid, and DeFalco, if not killed at this point, stand assembled with their followers just in time for the American attack. Menendez and Farid split up and regroup at the Citadel. Though Farid begs Menendez to retreat, he instead shoots down Harper's volatile and makes him prisoner. Though Harper refuses to state the name of the traitor, Menendez hands a gun to Farid and orders him to kill Harper. And then this is where we're going to get into a little bit more outcomes. Kind of like the last character analysis. So outcome number 1, if the player decides to follow Menendez's orders and shoots Harper, then he will die, and Farid's cover will remain safe. This will ensure Chloe's survival later in the game and subsequent defeat of Menendez's cyber attack. Whatever the outcome of the player's choice, Menendez will then be captured by his down volatile by David Mason and Salazar. Menendez then thanks David and asks him to help seek a newer world. And outcome number 2, if the player decides to shoot Menendez instead, then he will stop him and shoots Farid in the chest before shooting him in the head and killing him. This will doom Chloe to her demise and ultimately Woods if Menendez is captured. However, Harper will survive. Whatever the outcome of the player's choice, Menendez will be captured by his down volatile, and I already said that, so... And here comes my favorite part of the entire, probably Black Ops 2 campaign. USS Obama and cyber attack begins. After being taken prisoner, Raul is taken to the USS Obama, where he is interrogated first by Salazar and then by Mason. However, an attack from Cordestia allows him to escape. Later, Menendez, with or without DeFalco, will head to the bridge as Admiral Briggs was rebooting the system. Menendez takes Briggs hostage while Salazar shows his true colors, betrays his own men, and joins Raul's side. This may or may not result in DeFalco and Chloe's deaths. This is player determined, as mentioned earlier. Menendez will have then Briggs at gunpoint, but Salazar's request that he is not to kill him, but shoot him in the leg. The player can either choose to kill Briggs or wound him or do nothing. Menendez then takes out his fake eyeball and uploads the virus, which allows him to take control of the system. Menendez then makes his escape by means of a jet. And outcome number 1, if the player decides to shoot Briggs in the leg, then he has completed the Strike Force missions and then killed Tian Zhao. Then Briggs will live to reactivate the Obama's defenses until the Chinese show up and save the Obama. If the player decides to kill Briggs or hasn't completed the Strike Force missions or didn't kill Zhao, then the Obama will be destroyed. Now we're going to kind of get into the final stand in Haiti. As a series of cyber attacks around the world takes place, Menendez will take refuge in his hidden base in Haiti. To control the drones, the U.S. government, with or without support from the Chinese government, will launch an attack on the base. Just before they reach him, however, Menendez kills a Marine and puts on his uniform and kit. It will then be discovered that Menendez isn't controlling the drones from the base. Menendez then broadcasts a message to the world and shows various cities about to be attacked before he self-destructs the drones, revealing Cordestia's true plan to cripple the U.S. drones and leave its military vulnerable so the 2 billion followers of Cordestia can rise up and attack the government. However, as Menendez tries to make his escape, David will slide down to him, stab him in his left leg and right shoulder, then hold him at gunpoint with Menendez's TAC-45. Menendez then tells David to make him a martyr for Cordestia, at which point Mason either shoots him or captures him, and he again recites a very famous quote that all Black Ops players know, "Martyr me for Cordestia," which is very famous. Now, we're going to get into the outcomes here. This is pretty much spoilers for the ending of the game, so just, if you're not really up for spoilers, even though I've already said a few spoilers, whatever. This is just the ending of the game, so if you're not trying to hear the ending of the game, don't watch this part. So outcome number 1, if the player spares Menendez, then he will be taken outside and put into U.S. custody, with Raul telling David to study Ulysses and be ready for his escape 1 year from now. If Harper's alive at this point, then he will say that he would just have shot him. And outcome number 2, if the player shoots Menendez, then he will die. If Harper's still alive, then he will express concern that David was going to let him live. Additionally, a YouTube video will appear revealing Menendez's death angering Cordestia's followers, resulting in a widespread rioting in Washington, D.C., and the White House being burned down. This is considered the canonical outcome, which, so really outcome number 2 is supposed to be canon to the game and the game's going forward in realistic stance, but I don't really like to believe that. I like to believe that any choice you make can become canon to the other games, so yes. But let's burn for, like I said, I'm really sticking to Black Ops 2 here. I know there's a few more events of his, events that Menendez calls in Black Ops 3 and a few other Black Ops, like Black Ops 4 and stuff, but I'm not really going to get into that because it's I don't want to say it's irrelevant, but it's not really relevant to what I'm kind of going for here. I just wanted his Black Ops 2 story, which was the main story of Menendez. That's where you see him the most, and he exists the most, of course, and has the most impact. So that's kind of what I'm sticking to here. That's pretty much it for today's episode. Now, I might have one more Black Ops 2 campaign character that I'm going to do next. I'm not sure. It's either going to be that or I'm going to move on to the Black Ops 2 Zombies characters for that round. I'm not sure, so the next episode might either be one more Black Ops 2 campaign character or we're going to move on to the Zombies characters, so that'll be kind of a surprise. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to do the last character or not yet, but I guess you guys will see soon enough. So, I personally love Menendez. I think his story is great. He poses a great threat and is a great villain in the Black Ops 2 campaign. I personally love him as a villain, and a lot of other fans do too, I think. So comment down below what you guys think of Raul Menendez. Is he a good villain in the Black Ops 2 campaign, bad villain, whatever? Let's discuss that. Yeah, we're going to be coming back with character analysis a little bit more. Like I said, I know we took a little bit of a break just because some other stuff was going on with the channel. So that is pretty much it. So make sure to subscribe for more content, like the video, all the good stuff, Discord, Twitch, Instagram, links in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next video.